Hello, everyone. Welcome to Dangerous Ideas. I'm Lee Camp, the most censored comedian in America. Thanks for being here. Maybe that's because I'm sometimes a comedian, sometimes not. And I talk about important issues, sometimes in a funny way, sometimes not. But if you're going to talk about those issues that the mainstream media will not allow, that the ruling elite will not allow, and you're really, really talking about them and really getting to the heart of it all and the heart of how it all works, then you will find yourself at some point losing, your entire YouTube presence and your podcast on Spotify and etc. But I keep popping up like a fucking zombie or something that pops up like a hedgehog. Or do they come out of the ground, right? Is anyone they're ground bound? They keep popping up, right? Anyway, I keep popping back up. So thank you for following me. Obviously, the one I'm building now is on Rumble, rumble.com/LeeCamp. And the last episode was watched by 255,000 people. That's just on Rumble. So thank you for finding me, even as the ruling elite and the various forms of censorship play whack-a-mole with my various platforms. But today, I'm going to get into how NATO seems to be giving some signals that they're going after Brazil now. And why would that be? I wonder why Brazil would matter in this game, the game that NATO's playing, the game that the U.S. empire and their puppets, should I say our puppets? Do I have to claim credit for the U.S. empire? Can I just let them be their own thing and say I'm out here watching? I'm off to the side, just giving them that ugly look, like that meme of the African child that's staring at someone. I don't know where that photo initially came from, so I can't say. But anyway, I don't want to claim credit, but they're now going after Brazil, and we're going to talk about why that is and what has been said recently. I'm also going to get into the NYPD and what they've been up to. All good, all good. NYPD, just, that if I mention them, if anyone really mentions it, it's always positive, right? They have never royally screwed the pooch. That's an expression, right? Why is that an expression? That's not even that. That's not good. I don't know that I've ever used that expression before, and I'm suddenly really disturbed by it. I'm going to get into a labor organizing tactic that has not, I don't think it's been talked about much, but, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm out of the loop, but seems like a great tactic, seems like an important tactic, and I'm going to be talking about that. And I'm also going to get into why France is destroying hundreds of millions of dollars worth of wine and what it says about our lovely capitalist system that always, what it is, capitalism, it always is the most efficient way to get the goods to the people. And sometimes the most efficient way to do that is to just fucking destroy tons of shit. That's just set fire to it. That's the most efficient way to get the goods to the people. I bet you didn't know that. Very few many people know that. Very few many people know that. Because very few is a number, and that's how many. So thanks for being here. Please click subscribe. Please click share. Please click thumbs up, all that good stuff. But let's start with, and I'm going to get to what's been said about Brazil. But I wanted to start by talking about how this is part of a plan, right? BRICS is horrifying to the U.S. empire, to those who are part of the U.S. empire, the vassal states, including all the NATO countries, including Britain, including Australia, including Canada. BRICS is horrifying. And, someone accused me recently of acting like BRICS is the solution to all world problems. And it's not. It is absolutely not. Many of those countries are full-on capitalist. But whatever. That aside, BRICS would slow down the massive environmental, natural, and in all other ways, destruction that is being wrought by the U.S. empire. It would at least slow it a little bit, like a flat tire on a bike. It's like you can still keep going, but it's gonna slow you down a little. So the efforts by the U.S. empire to destroy BRICS, to harm BRICS, to slow its creation, which is this obviously this economic group of nations that are competing with the US dollar hegemony. The technique has been to try and split up these countries, to put wedges between them. And we've seen some of it very clearly at play, right? Part of it was with Russia. Okay, well, what do we do with Russia? Well, let's pick off their allies, that especially ones that are near them, especially ones where they have military bases or used to have military bases, places like Ukraine. We'll pick them off first in the 2014 coup to put in a puppet government that will turn against Russia rather than supporting Russia. And then we'll pick them off fully by trying to get them to join NATO and putting in arms and training Nazis and all that shit, which has then resulted in the Russian invasion, which we've been seeing for a year and a half. So it was to divide Russia and Russia's allies. That one example. Another example, doing the same thing with Taiwan and China, right? Trying to pick off a territory, an area that is either part of China or allied with China, and try and separate it, but also try and create some sort of war there that takes time and money and effort from the country, in this case, China. So we have sent $100 billion, over $100 billion of arms and aid to Ukraine. We've now made weapons deals with Taiwan, where we're sending U.S. weapons to Taiwan now. Another example of trying to pick off pieces of China would be Xinjiang province, right, where many of the Uyghurs are. And I'm no expert on China, but I also cannot say with certainty that Uyghurs aren't treated poorly. There might be racism. I've heard much about there being some racism against Uyghurs, just like there's racism against Black people in America, who are per capita wise, the number one victims of the largest prison state the world has ever known in the United States. But the difference is, in China, there is no genocide against Uyghurs. I don't mean difference. I don't mean there's a genocide against Black people in America, but I mean the difference in terms of reality versus the propaganda that's being put forward is there is no genocide against Uyghurs in China. There are mosques all over the place. There are Uyghurs publicly having weddings in China. But because many of them are in this one province, the U.S. and our vassal states have tried to say, oh, well, that province should be made independent from China. So yet again, it's a way of picking off pieces of China, trying to separate them, trying to give them a hard time and divide them. Also, the sanctions against Russia were intended to try and divide them from China as well as other countries, but it's largely backfired. Then you have Iran, another example. We just sent 3,000 troops more to the Persian Gulf to try and pick a war with Iran, or at least cause them great strife and having to dump funds into dealing with something in the Persian Gulf, as the U.S. puts 3,000 troops there, and it's barely talked about in the mainstream media. We also facilitated a coup in Pakistan, right? U.S.-backed coup in Pakistan. We've now seen the leaked documents about that. So all of that, sorry for so much background, but all of that brings me to what's now being said about Brazil, obviously one of the key members of BRICS. In fact, it's the first letter. I mean, if you get to be the first letter, top billing in the name BRICS, that's a big deal. And so this is from Gunther Fellinger, who is the chair of the European Committee for NATO enlargement for Kosovo, Ukraine, Bosnia, Austria, Moldova, Ireland, and Georgia. So this guy is the chair of the European Committee for NATO enlargement. And here he's clearly a right-wing lunatic, but that doesn't mean he's not connected to NATO. NATO's a military partnership, a military organization that has completely destroyed entire countries like Libya. And he says, after this BRICS summit, I start to wonder if socialist corrupt Lula, which obviously Lula is not corrupt. That's actually why his entire court case, which got him locked up, was proven to be false and fabricated. And he was ultimately freed when that came out. So, this guy's throwing around bullshit terms, but socialist corrupt Lula is not the hope of the free world, but will lead Brazil into the same direction as Russia, China, Iran. Well, first of all, I don't know what direction he's talking about, because China over the past 20 years has taken 850 million of their people out of extreme poverty. China is more sophisticated a country in many different regards than the United States. And so, by same direction, which one are you referring to? You're referring to taking hundreds of millions out of poverty? Is that the type of direction you're doing? No, he's just acting like all Western propaganda is accurate, and therefore Russia and China are collapsing, and which is bullshit. But into the same direction as Russia, China, Iran, I make it very clear: if you, Lula, join hostile axis of genocide. Oh, this guy's like a Mad Libs of, I don't know, Hitler terms. What is this guy doing? I will call to dismantle Brazil. So he's threatening to call to break up Brazil, but he has actually gone into far more detail of that. Sorry, I thought I was showing you the image. There it is. But he's actually gone into far more detail as to how he's going to break up Brazil. Austrian economist proposes division of Brazil into 5 states amidst BRICS partnership with Russia. Austrian economist Gunther Ferlinger has sparked a contentious debate by advocating for the division of Brazil into 5 separate states due to its partnership with Russia and the BRICS group. Ferlinger, identified as the chair, I told you who he is, the chair of the European Committee for NATO Enlargement, has stirred the pot with a suggestion to break Brazil into 5 distinct states. He contends that this division would enable these new entities to align with international organizations, lovely international organizations like NATO, OECD, and Mercosur. Ferlinger's concept, dubbed the Ferlinger Doctrine, seemingly prescribes the disintegration of nations as retribution for violating NATO's rules-based international order, which we all know is bullshit. It's basically follow our rules. We don't need to follow our own rules. We can do whatever we want, commit war crimes, send cluster bombs to Nazis, even when 100 countries have banned them. We can do all of that, no problem at all. You just need to abide by the rules we've made up that we don't abide by. That's what their rules-based order is that the U.S. keeps touting and speaking about so often. He accompanied his call for Brazil's division with a map depicting Russia as fragmented into many states, each supporting a fabricated flag. The image is accompanied by the phrase, freedom to captive nations in Russia. This approach echoes a theme of punishment and disintegration. So this goes with the I know this is not coming from the U.S., this is coming from a German connected to NATO, but this is a U.S. part of a U.S. plan, which is when there are powerful countries that are against U.S. empire, against U.S. hegemony, against our exploitation of the entire globe. One of the efforts is to pursue economic war against them, but another one is to try and find ways to split them up. Try and find ways to just make their people war with each other, which they succeeded in Ukraine, right? Part of the overall plan in Ukraine was, well, let's make Ukraine go to war with itself. That tends to cause a lot of problems in a society, and that then will get Russia on high alert because they'll have a war on their border. So they succeeded with that, right? That started back in 2014, and even before the Russian invasion, 15,000 culturally Russian people were killed by the Nazis in Ukraine. That's before the invasion. So we Americans act like the war began, a year and a half ago, when in fact it's been going since 2014 in many regards. And so we succeeded in that, right? We split Ukraine into multiple areas that were at war with each other. That then created basically a war on Russia's border, which they were not all too pleased with. And it serves our purposes, the U.S. purposes, in multiple regards. But a lot of what we had intended with the proxy war in Ukraine has boomeranged and actually harmed the U.S. empire more than helped it. I've covered that many, many times. But this is the same goal, the same effort now aimed at Brazil. And really, this goes to show that the U.S. and the West how horrified they are of BRICS, how horrified they are that there could be an economic system that is competitive with dollar hegemony. And it's this insanity. I mean, these people are true sociopaths. You're looking into the eyes of true sociopaths that don't care how many people die, don't care how many people are harmed, don't care how many people suffer, so that the U.S. and Western allies can continue to, in many ways, own the globe. And, you notice there was none of this talk when there was a literal fascist in the presidency of Brazil. Bolsonaro was a literal fascist, like supported rape of enemies, supported the murder of indigenous, the burning down of the Amazon increased tenfold under Bolsonaro, and you got none of this critique from the U.S. and Western allies when he was in charge. But then you put in Lula, who is not even a far leftist. He's just too left for the West to be okay with. And you start seeing this shit about how the country needs to be split up, torn apart, ripped limb from limb. And, that serves multiple purposes, obviously, for the U.S. empire. Once you've split up a country, you make them much weaker. You generally have them dealing with war on their own land. An example, I guess, of what they would intend would be something like Libya. Libya, despite all of its faults, Libya was one of the most advanced countries in Africa underneath when Gaddafi was ruling it. This is not to say Gaddafi was the most wonderful guy, but we can walk and chew gum at the same time. But there was, housing, education. There was peace within the country for the most part. And then NATO goes in, led by France and U.S., and obliterates the country and leaves it just splintered, warring warlords, just fighting each other, open slave markets. But you'll notice that for whatever horror show is going on in Libya, it's easier for the U.S., right? We don't have to worry about a powerful Libya. We don't have to worry about Gaddafi saying he was going to get off the dollar and switch to the gold dinar and talking. He was talking to many other African nations about doing the same. So he was trying to get them off the dollar, off that dollar hegemony. And then the U.S. and NATO go in and just destroy the whole fucking country. And then turn around and go, do, 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 do. Okay, so moving on. Let's get to an update on our beloved NYPD. Always doing good work. Always just helping people out. The NYPD has stopped tens of thousands of people under Mayor Eric Adams, and just 5% have been white. Now, this is... Many of you have heard the term stop and frisk. Stop and frisk was big in New York under Mayor Bloomberg. It was the process, the practice of the cops just running around, grabbing anyone they wanted to. Fuck your constitutional rights. Doesn't matter if you showed any signs of committing any crime, or it doesn't matter if they saw anything. They just grab people, throw them against the wall, see what they could find. Now, not only were they grabbing mainly black people, but on top of that, they weren't finding, it'd still be a violation of constitutional rights, but there'd be an argument to make if they were finding just tons of illegal guns and all this shit. But studies have shown they were almost never finding illegal guns or something. What they would find a certain percentage of the time is somebody had a joint, or somebody had an open alcoholic beverage, or somebody was loitering where they shouldn't be. Cops can find something on you if they want to find something on you. You have your shoes buckled the wrong way. Also, you're wearing shoes with buckles. That's fucking weird. What are you, a pilgrim? Oh, wait, that's the hat. But they can always find something on you. So they would frisk these people. They're grabbing mainly black people. And then they're going, oh, we found out that he wasn't wearing any underwear. Like, they can always find something. Or they can wait till you tell them to go fuck themselves. And then they call that resisting arrest. I don't know. They always have a way. But so they got rid of stop and frisk. Sorry, I should have mentioned that. They got rid of stop and frisks when de Blasio was mayor of New York. And, it was a completely unconstitutional policing tactic. And now it appears they basically brought it back under a new name. The NYPD has stopped tens of thousands of pedestrians since Mayor Eric Adams took office. And by the way, Mayor Eric Adams is black. That doesn't matter at all. He's an ex-cop, and he abides by every belief and idea and sick sociopathic behavior method that you can picture any NYPD officer abiding by. So the fact that he's black does not matter at all. He is putting forward the exact fucking white owner society laws and regulations that you would get from a white ex-NYPD officer. But Mayor Eric Adams took office claiming someone fit a relevant description. This is why they're stopping tens of thousands. Fit a relevant description. Well, that's an interesting way of phrasing it. What are the usual relevant descriptions that the NYPD runs around with? Well, it's usually black guy did something. That's what they like to run around with. And, if we wanted, I like to talk about the levels of reality. If you want to get a little deeper in there, you could talk about the fact that still most crime is committed by white people. But as people who love to say racist shit will say, oh, yeah, but per capita, it's actually more crime committed by black people per capita. And that is true in a certain regard. In fact, I just saw a video of a right-winger saying this the other day and people cheering him on and being like, yeah, per capita, black people do things. Yeah. But here's the thing. First of all, you have to take into account that where are all the cops? Where do they position most cops in most cities? They position them in the urban areas, the poorer areas, the black areas of town. And then what do the cops notice? Oh, they happen to notice more black people. Isn't that funny? When you stand all the cops in the middle of the black community, they notice things with the black community. Okay, so does that mean no crime goes on in the white community? Fucking no, that's not what it means. It means you stood all the cops in the black area of town. So that's part of it. Another part of it is there are studies showing how people behave when they are poorer. And again, it's not racist we could look at the numbers to say that black people in America are on average poorer. But when you live in systemic racism, it's a lot harder to not be poor when you're fighting against massive levels of racism. And the reference, I just always use this reference just because it's an easy one to throw out there to give you an example. In studies showing when a white person and a black person apply for the same job and the employer has not even seen them and race is not on the form. So it doesn't just say I'm a black guy. Race is not on the form, but then they sent in for the study, they sent in the exact same CV, resume, whatever you want to call it, exact same one. The only thing they changed was the person's name. People with black sounding names are 50% less likely to just get the first job interview. Just their foot in the door, 50% less likely. So it's like you cannot overstate how difficult it is to succeed within systemic racism. That all aside. So that's why part of many reasons that statistically speaking, the poorer areas of town are also tend to be more black and brown people. Okay, so poorer people, according to studies, also tend to make worse decisions. Why? Because you become desperate. If you fucking, I'd love to see any one of you. If you take away your food, let's see how long you behave by every letter of the law. Let's see how long till you steal an apple. You take away all your food. I'm just saying, you tend to make certain decisions based on poverty, but also it just shows that when people are desperate, they make sometimes poorer decisions, not just stealing an apple, which is, if you're starving, is a great decision. I'd say that's the best decision you can make. Stealing an apple. But then here's the final note, which I almost never hear people make this point. So the right winger the other day that I saw the video of, let's assume everything he says is true. Yes, per capita, black people commit more crime, or at least arrested for more crime. Let's assume that let's ignore the fact that cops are just placed in the black community and they're not placed in the white community or whiter areas of town, so they're not going to see as much white crime, etc. Let's ignore all of that. I never hear people mention this, that it also depends on your definition of crime. When people are having this discussion as to who commits more crime, are they talking about white collar crime? Are they talking about the fucking businesses raping and pillaging the landscape? Are they talking about the companies that knock down all our forests and leave us dying here? Are they talking about the opioid epidemic? Are they talking about things that, yes, technically on the books are crimes, such as doing cocaine? But if you're a Wall Street trader and you're doing coke in a bathroom, what are the odds you get caught for that? Fucking near zero. And then, of course, there's differences in drug laws. You can be locked up more for certain ones. But all of this is to say, people don't take into account the definition of crime. When they say commit more crime, they're picturing just street crime, stuff that goes down on a sidewalk. They're ignoring breathtaking amounts of corporate crime. How about the number one crime in America in terms of average theft is wage theft? Making people work, and then you have a way, whether it's through computer glitches or it's in other ways, of stealing their wages from them. Is that not theft? It absolutely is. In fact, it's theft done by corporations. McDonald's, I think, was caught for a massive one several years back, massive amount of wage theft. And most of those companies are owned by white people. So does that not count as white crime? Does that count as a huge amount of white crime? But see, all of that's left out. When we say commit more crime, quote unquote, we're talking about most people are just acting like all crime is street crime. All crime is something that happens on a sidewalk. And we just ignore the trillions stolen by Wall Street. So Adams, a former cop, to go back to this Gothamist article, a former cop who ran on a message of public safety, said during his 2021 campaign that stop and frisk could be a useful policing tool if applied properly. See, so he takes something that has been proven inefficient, has been proven to be constitutionally essentially illegal, has been proven to not actually succeed at what it's intended to do. And he says, yeah, I like that idea. That thing we did that was complete, utter racist bullshit. I like that. I like how that's working. Cops are stopping dramatically fewer people than they did in the Bloomberg years. Just 1%, so this is good news, just 1% of people stopped during stop and frisk's height in 2011 are now detained. So that's a little confusing. They're saying, because not everybody who stopped in stop and frisk was detained. So they're saying 1% of those who used to be stopped at its peak are now detained. What would be a more interesting comparison would be how many are stopped now versus stopped then. Anyway, after the 2013 federal court ruling that found the practice discriminated against New Yorkers of color, what? No. But police stops under Adams, which are at their highest point since 2015, are trending upward. So I just wanted to bring to your attention, and as I mentioned at the beginning, only 5% of those being grabbed up are white. So, you know, this is a racist horror show, and this is the type of thing that Fox News endorses on a daily basis, right? Anytime you turn on Fox News, they'll tell you how, crime's running rampant and we have to give police more money. And also they've been defunded, except they haven't. But also they've been defunded and we got to give them more money. And we got to have more cops and they need to arrest more people and lock them up in a country that has the most prisoners in the fucking world. Our police and prison system is fucking insane. And you have people calling for more. Statistically, if we keep going the way we're going, we'll have everyone locked up by the year 2030. Every single person. And then who are they going to arrest? I mean, just disgusting. But of course, this isn't to give Biden an exemption off this. He supported every cop anything bill ever. I mean, also he created the crime bill that's doubled the prison population in America. So meanwhile, Fox News says we need more money to cops. We need more people arrested. We need more of these things. We need more racist laws. And they go, but Joe Biden is a leftist socialist. It's like, no, Joe Biden is a motherfucker who's doing and has done throughout his entire career everything you just mentioned. Everything that Fox News and the right wing says they want, that's what Joe Biden has done. This is how backwards everything's gotten, and it's by design. They want you confused. They want you to go, wait. They want you to watch Fox News and go, oh, Joe Biden's a socialist. I didn't realize he's fucking not a socialist. He's barely a living human. How can he be a socialist? All right, let's get to the next story. This tactic, I wanted to bring up this tactic for labor organizing that has been working really well. There, as you know, there was that massive UPS strike that was on the cusp, almost happened, and then they got a deal that most people approved. The workers did approve it. You can debate as to whether it was the best deal or not, but still, they seem to have gotten a lot of what they wanted. But all right, this is coming. So there's another strike that could be waiting in the wings against the big three automakers. And this is because the nation, the workers across the nation have power, have the strength right now, which is why the Fed is raising interest rates to try and create a recession where people will get knocked out of work and then workers won't have the power anymore. The goal is to stop workers from having power. But workers still do have power. And so this article is coming from popularresistance.org, a great outlet. By the way, almost all of these stories I'm covering are at radindymedia.com, a news aggregator that I created with Eleanor Goldfield that enriches me with roughly $0 a month. You will see, you can enjoy all of the endless zero ads at radindymedia.com. You can enjoy all of the zero paywall at radindymedia.com. And anyway, all these stories or most of them are there. So here's a labor organizing secret that has been working. And this may sound kind of boring, but listen, if we're going to win this battle, if we're going to win the ongoing revolution, to have a peaceful, equitable world, to have a world where we're not destroying the environment, where workers aren't exploited with wage slavery on an everyday basis, we're going to need to learn from tactics that work, whether they're a little bit boring or not. This one, unfortunately, is not people throwing themselves in front of tanks and things, which makes for a fun video, but this is a tactic that seems to really be working. Labor organizing secret, 10-minute meetings. And I don't know. I mean, I get that this is a boring topic, but in a way, but to me, this was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense because nobody wants to be like, I imagine most of the time when they're trying to organize, when they're trying to create a union or talk to people about a union, probably within 1 to 2 minutes, the person is like, I got to go pick up my kids. Probably within like 3 minutes, the person's like, can we, I don't know, do you have a brochure you can hand me? I got to go. I got shit to do. Even a single person with no kids is probably like, I got a game of Halo that I got to play. I don't know video games. I got Halo Men that it's on pause. I got to get back to that. I'm sorry. I really can't. I just can't. I got Grand Theft Duty. I got to get back to my Grand Theft Duty that I'm playing. But so the article says, as auto workers prepare for the expiration of the big three auto contracts covering 150,000 members September 14th, some are turning to a valuable tool they saw UPS Teamsters use, the 10-minute meeting. It's simply an in-person meeting with your coworkers that is only 10 minutes long and which crucially is held at work. Instead of scheduling a long meeting off-site or on off time, you're bringing the meeting to them and making it as convenient as possible. And I would imagine that all of the people that have attended these are like, God, this is great. Absolutely. Oh, I will go to a 10-minute meeting like during my bathroom break. If you could just yell it through the stall, then I will absolutely go to a 10-minute meeting. Oh, so will. 10-minute meetings can update members on negotiations and important actions during a contract campaign. Leading up to the UPS expiration, for example, Teamster activists held brief parking lot meetings right before or after their shifts. So they didn't ask the people to go anywhere. They didn't know, where do I have to go for the meeting? I got to hire a sitter? What do you think? I have 14 kids. 5 of them are in the bed of my pickup. I don't how am I going to go to a meeting? Yeah, no, you don't got to drive anywhere. It's right. It's right now. This is it. We're at the meeting. Meeting has opened, and in 30 seconds, this meeting will adjourn. Don't ask them to go anywhere. 10-minute meeting right there in the parking lot. These meetings often were, and here's something that's interesting. I would imagine some of these meetings are quite small because you're just grabbing the people that it's most convenient for at the time. But they're saying that with the UPS, where they won a far better contract, the meetings were actually large, building widespread solidarity and strike readiness. So basically, the UPS higher ups, the goons in the top office, look out their window, and there's 100 workers having a 10-minute meeting in the parking lot. It scares the shit out of them. You can't have workers talking to each other. Literally in West Virginia, in the earlier days of mining in West Virginia, one of the things they would do is get workers straight off the boat from Ellis Island who needed a job. They'd say, you want a job? We'll take you to West Virginia with your family. We'll pay to get you there. Sometimes they even set them up with a house and those kind of things, living somewhere, set them up with some company store, some of that sweet company store cash or whatever. But one of the things they did apparently was that these mining companies would get people intentionally from a variety of countries, some coming from France, some coming from various countries in Africa, some coming from Germany, and they'd grab them up and they'd take them to West Virginia. I don't mean they'd kidnap them, but yeah, if it's wage slavery, I guess it's kind of kidnap, but they'd take them to West Virginia, and it greatly decreased the amount of organizing that went on because they couldn't speak the same language. So that's how much the corporate overlords don't want you speaking to each other. Like, you start speaking to each other, they're in trouble, because when workers start speaking to each other, they start sharing techniques to organize. They start sharing how their lives work. They start sharing, guess what? They start sharing how they're being exploited at work, how the ruling elite are stealing their money, stealing their labor, stealing their life force out of their fucking veins and enriching the already rich. And so that message gets shared, maybe not poetically, but I have a gift. What can I say? Okay. UPS got the message. Managers saw workers doing highly visible actions like parking lot rallies and marching at practice pickets, and gave in to almost every key Teamster demand. Now, I know some argue that the deal could have been better, but either way, I think it's clear they got a lot out of that deal. So this just sounded like a great tactic to me, because I am not involved in involved in organizing, and I consider it a fucking incredible job. Those who are organizers out there, those who really are able to devote themselves to speaking to people, sometimes 1-on-1, sometimes 1-on-10, and getting them to work together to fight against these companies. I think they're amazing, and they're the true on the ground heroes. And every time we find tactics that work, people find tactics that work. Even one like this, that's just like, hey, give them a fucking short meeting. These people have long days ahead of them. People are working, they're working their ass off. And that's part of the reason they need a new contract. And they're not willing to, or often they're not able to add in another fucking hour and a half of, okay, we're beginning the meeting. We're going to begin by everybody giving your name, your age, your favorite color socks, and a vacation spot that you haven't been to, but if you were there, you think you'd enjoy it, and 5 to 10 things about the spot you would enjoy. And if you were a tree, what tree would you be? Okay, starting over here. There's only 300 of you, so this should go by quickly. We're limiting each person to 10 minutes. So not everybody has time for that. They got kids at home they hate, you know? I'm just kidding. I know there are people out there that love their kids. I get it. Not all of them do. Statistically speaking, everybody can't love their kid. You can't have everybody loving their kids. There's got to be some that don't. It's not such a stereotype. Quit stereotyping everybody as loving their kids. Some might not. Some of the kids might be douchebags. All right, I'm going to get in right now. I'm going to get into why France just destroyed or is about to destroy 200 million euros worth of wine and what it says about capitalism. And I'm going to get into a little bit of just how many products Amazon destroys. All of that's coming up, as well as the recent efforts that could bear fruit to save the chubby unicorns. I swear to God, all of that's coming up. Oh, wait, someone's saying the Rumble stream crashed. Let's see if that's true. Let's see if that's fake news. Oh, shit, it might be true. Hold on. Is it? Yeah, actually, it seems like the Rumble stream is not working on my end either. Oh, wait. Now it's back. Try hitting refresh, folks, and see if you can get the Rumble stream. Okay, people saying it's back. All right, so I'm at rumble.com/Lee Camp. Join me over there. It's free to watch, free to comment, and I'll get to those stories and more. Also, if you feel like you've gotten 38 cents out of this episode, then please, I beg of you, become a member at leecamp.locals.com. It's the only way I keep this show going. You might notice I have no spoken ads of my own. Maybe one day someone will offer me $1 billion and I'll be sitting here going, do you like shoes? We sell shoes. Maybe, who knows? But right now that's not happening. So this show is completely supported by you and people like you becoming members at $6 a month. It's at leecamp.locals.com. You get exclusive content. You get Q&As with me multiple times a week. All of that. Oh, you also get my new ebook, Dangerous Ideas, which is my full new book. All of that for becoming a member at leecamp.locals.com. So please consider doing that. Also, one other note, this Saturday, it's coming up. It's less than a week away. This Saturday, my first live stand-up comedy, while-seated, stand-up comedy hour in 5 years. It's been 5 years since I've done a full new hour, and that will be this Saturday. Just go to my Twitter or my X. Just go see that when you say X, it sounds like I'm talking about my ex-girlfriend. Just go to my ex-girlfriend and talk to her about this. No, go to twitter.com/LeeCamp and the link to those tickets, $5 tickets. That link is at the top of my Twitter, twitter.com/LeeCamp. If you'd like to come this Saturday to attend that. And it's not, by the way, that live hour is not going up online. I'm not going to put it up on YouTube. I'm going to put clips, but I'm not going to put the full hour. So this is your chance to join me and a special guest that so far no one has guessed. So far, no one has guessed. And I see someone in the comment thread wants me to take off my shirt. Well, I'll tell you this. That might happen if you follow me over to rumble.com/LeeCamp. Just kidding. It's not going to happen. But rumble.com/LeeCamp. Join me over there. Free to watch over there. And let's keep going at rumble.com/Lee Camp. Guess all right, give me 1 minute.